I discovered my wife had a secret credit card with $27,000 in debt the day before closing on our dream home. The mortgage fell through, and our relationship nearly did too. Financial infidelity affects 40% of American couples, more than you might think. In today's video, I'll show you why these money secrets are just as damaging as romantic affairs and the exact steps to rebuild trust before it's too late. The shocking reality of financial infidelity. Did you know that 4 in 10 Americans are hiding money secrets from their partners right now? That's nearly half of all relationships potentially sitting on a financial time bomb. But what exactly counts as financial infidelity? It's not just about having a separate bank account your partner doesn't know about. It's any deliberate attempt to hide money matters from your significant other. Financial infidelity encompasses a whole spectrum of secret financial behaviors. It's the hidden credit card you applied for last Christmas that your partner still doesn't know exists. It's consistently lying about how much you spent on that new gaming system or designer bag. It's maintaining a secret savings account your spouse can't access, or downplaying your salary to keep more money for yourself. At its core, financial infidelity is about deception, creating a separate financial life behind your partner's back. And here's what might shock you. This behavior isn't rare or extreme. Research from the National Endowment for Financial Education found that 43% of American adults admit to hiding major financial information from their partner. We're talking about an invisible epidemic that's happening in nearly half of all relationships across the country. Let's look at how this plays out in real life. Meet Jessica and Mark, not their real names, a couple profiled in a recent financial behavior study. For 3 years, Jessica maintained a separate checking account where she diverted a portion of each paycheck, money that Mark believed was going toward their joint savings for a house down payment. By the time Mark discovered the account, Jessica had stockpiled over $15,000 that she planned to use as an escape fund in case their relationship didn't work out. Then there's the story of Robert, who kept a separate credit card his wife didn't know about. He racked up nearly $27,000 in debt buying electronics and sports memorabilia, all while assuring his wife they were on track with their financial goals. When the credit card company called their home phone about a missed payment, his entire secret financial life came crashing down. These aren't isolated incidents. A survey by creditcards.com found that 19% of respondents have spent more than $500 without telling their spouse, and 7.2 million Americans, about 4.4% of the U.S. adult population, have hidden financial accounts like credit cards or savings accounts from their live-in spouses or partners. The consequences? They're devastating. Financial stress doesn't just strain relationships, it breaks them apart. Research from the Institute for Divorce Financial Analysts reveals that financial issues are cited as a primary factor in 40 to 50% of all divorces in America. That makes money problems one of the leading relationship killers, right up there with communication problems and infidelity. Speaking of infidelity, here's where things get really interesting. When researchers asked people to rank various forms of betrayal, many participants rated financial infidelity as being just as harmful as physical cheating. A Harris Poll survey found that 31% of respondents considered financial infidelity to be worse than physical cheating. Think about that. Nearly a third of people would rather have their partner cheat on them physically than lie about money. Why does financial betrayal cut so deep? Because money isn't just about dollars and cents. It's about trust, security, and your shared future. When your partner hides financial information from you, they're not just lying about money, they're undermining the foundation of your relationship. The psychological impact mirrors what happens in romantic affairs. First comes the shock of discovery, then the painful questioning. What else have they lied about? How long has this been going on? Can I ever trust them again? This breach of trust creates a ripple effect that touches every aspect of your relationship. Partners report feeling violated, manipulated, and foolish for not seeing the signs earlier. Take a moment now to reflect on your own financial relationship. How transparent are you with your partner about money? Are there purchases you hide or financial details you withhold? Would your partner be surprised if they saw your complete financial picture today? Be honest with yourself. Many of us engage in small acts of financial secrecy without recognizing them as the first steps toward financial infidelity. So what exactly makes financial infidelity so harmful to relationships? It's the triple threat of broken trust, shattered security, and damaged intimacy. First, trust, the bedrock of any healthy relationship, takes a massive hit when financial deception is uncovered. According to relationship experts, rebuilding this trust often takes years, not months. Second, financial infidelity destroys your sense of security. When one partner discovers the other has been hiding debt or spending secretly, it creates genuine fear about your financial future. Will we lose our home? Can we still retire as planned? Are there more financial secrets I don't know about? This insecurity can trigger anxiety, depression, and constant hypervigilance, checking account balances obsessively or monitoring every transaction. Finally, financial secrecy severely damages intimacy. Money conversations require vulnerability and honesty. When one partner chooses deception instead, they create an emotional wall between themselves and their partner. This wall doesn't just block financial intimacy, it often spills over into emotional and physical intimacy as well. Couples therapists report that financial infidelity frequently leads to communication breakdown in all areas of the relationship, not just money matters. Dr. Emily Garbinsky, a researcher who studies couples' financial behaviors, explains it this way. Financial infidelity violates two core expectations in relationships: honesty and mutual decision-making. When these expectations are broken in the financial realm, partners often question whether they can trust each other in other areas of life. The damage is particularly severe because money touches nearly every aspect of our lives. Your finances affect where you live, how you spend your time, what opportunities you can provide for your children, and how secure you feel about the future. When someone compromises your financial well-being through deception, they're effectively compromising your entire life path without your knowledge or consent. Perhaps most troubling is how financial infidelity often escalates over time. It typically starts small, hiding a purchase or two, downplaying a splurge, or keeping a small personal fund. But like other forms of deception, it rarely stays contained. That hidden shopping habit grows into secret credit card debt. That small personal fund becomes a separate financial life. The lies compound until the deceiving partner is managing an increasingly complex web of financial secrets. The psychology behind money secrets. That snowball of financial secrecy doesn't happen because people suddenly decide to become liars. It stems from something much deeper in our psychological makeup. When researchers scanned the brains of people dealing with money stress, they discovered the same neural pathways lighting up that activate during physical threats, turning what should be a conversation with your partner into what your brain registers as a survival situation. But why would someone who claims to love their partner keep potentially relationship-destroying financial secrets? The answer isn't about malicious intent or character flaws. It's about psychological protection mechanisms that kick in when we feel threatened. Money conversations consistently rank as the most emotionally charged discussions couples have. More than parenting disagreements, more than intimacy issues, and even more than disagreements about household responsibilities. Our brains literally treat financial stress like a physical danger, activating our fight or flight response systems. Think about what happens when you feel financially threatened. Your heart rate increases. Your palms might sweat. You might even feel that knot in your stomach. That's not just emotional discomfort. That's your body preparing for what it perceives as a genuine threat to your survival. These physiological responses make perfect sense when you consider our evolutionary history. For our ancestors, resource scarcity meant potential death. Our brains haven't caught up to modern reality. They still process financial stress as a life-threatening situation, triggering those primitive survival mechanisms. According to the research, financial stress affects approximately 70% of Americans, significantly hampering their ability to communicate effectively about money with their partners. When your brain is in this stressed state, you're biologically primed to avoid what feels threatening, rather than engage with it constructively. This explains why so many people choose avoidance as their primary coping mechanism with money issues. It's not a conscious choice to damage the relationship. It's an unconscious protection strategy. Your brain is literally telling you, avoid this danger at all costs. But where do these intense reactions to money come from in the first place? For most of us, they're deeply rooted in our childhood experiences. Financial psychologists call these unconscious beliefs money scripts, powerful mental patterns established during our formative years that dictate our financial behaviors as adults. Did your parents fight constantly about money? Did they never discuss finances at all? Were money conversations always tense and secretive? These experiences create powerful unconscious templates that shape your adult financial behavior. If you grew up in a household where money was never discussed openly, you likely didn't develop the vocabulary or emotional tools to have healthy financial conversations. If you witnessed bitter arguments about spending or saving, you may have learned that money discussions inevitably lead to conflict. If a parent controlled all the finances, you might have developed unhealthy patterns around financial power and secrecy. These childhood scripts become so deeply ingrained that they operate below our conscious awareness. You're not deliberately hiding that credit card statement from your partner because you're a dishonest person. You're responding to deeply coded messages from childhood that financial vulnerability leads to pain, rejection, or conflict. Shame plays an enormous role in perpetuating financial secrecy. Many people hide money issues not because of the actual financial problems themselves, but because of what they believe those problems say about them as a person. Consider someone who's struggling with credit card debt. The shame they feel isn't necessarily about the debt itself. It's about what they think that debt represents: failure, irresponsibility, weakness, or lack of self-control. The anticipation of having a partner discover these character flaws feels more threatening than the practical consequences of the debt itself. This anticipation of conflict or judgment creates a psychological feedback loop. You anticipate a negative reaction, which triggers your stress response, which encourages avoidance, which leads to secrecy, which increases potential relationship damage, which heightens anticipated negative reactions, and the cycle continues and intensifies. Cornell University researchers found that individuals experiencing financial anxiety are significantly less likely to engage in constructive discussions about money. The anticipation of conflict often leads them to avoid discussing financial matters altogether, as they perceive these conflicts as perpetual rather than solvable. There's also the issue of conflicting money values. Perhaps you were raised to believe saving every penny is virtuous, while your partner grew up in a household that emphasized enjoying money in the moment. Neither perspective is inherently wrong, but these different money scripts create friction when couples try to manage resources together. Power dynamics further complicate financial transparency. Money represents control and security in many relationships. The partner who earns more may feel entitled to more decision-making authority. The partner who earns less may hide purchases to maintain a sense of autonomy. These power imbalances often manifest in subtle controlling behaviors from both partners, monitoring spending, requiring justifications for purchases, or maintaining separate accounts. Financial therapists report that many clients hide money not because they're trying to be deceptive, but because they're trying to maintain a sense of independence and self-worth in relationships where money has become a control mechanism. It's not about the money itself, it's about what the money represents in terms of freedom and identity. The psychological impact of financial stress extends beyond the immediate money concerns. It can lead to emotional withdrawal and reduced relationship satisfaction, as couples struggle to navigate their differing financial beliefs and behaviors. The emotional effects often mirror those of romantic betrayal, anxiety, shame, and guilt, which further complicate financial discussions. All of these psychological factors, childhood scripts, shame, survival responses, power dynamics, and conflicting values, create the perfect storm for financial secrecy. And here's the truly challenging part. Most of this happens below our conscious awareness. We aren't typically aware of the real psychological drivers behind our financial behaviors. Instead, we create rational justifications that make our actions seem reasonable. I'm just waiting for the right time to bring this up. It's not that much money, so it doesn't really matter. I'm protecting my partner from unnecessary stress. They wouldn't understand anyway. These rationalizations allow the secrecy to continue while maintaining our self-image as honest, caring partners. But they mask the deeper psychological needs driving our behavior. Understanding these psychological mechanisms doesn't excuse financial infidelity, but it does explain why otherwise loving, committed partners engage in behaviors that could potentially destroy their relationships. It's rarely about deliberate deception. It's about psychological protection, avoidance of perceived threats, and deeply ingrained scripts from childhood. Red flags spotting financial secrets. Those childhood money scripts don't just affect our behavior. They also shape how our partners might be hiding financial issues right under our noses. Let's talk about detection. Those subtle behavioral changes that might be telling you something's off with your shared finances. The difference between catching financial infidelity early versus discovering it years later could literally save your relationship. You know that feeling when something just seems off? When it comes to financial secrets, your intuition might be picking up on warning signs before your logical brain can connect the dots. These red flags often appear as subtle shifts in behavior that are easy to dismiss, but they're worth paying attention to. One of the most common warning signs is a sudden change in how your mail is handled. Has your partner started intercepting the mail before you can see it? Are financial documents mysteriously disappearing? These behaviors could indicate they're trying to hide evidence of new credit cards, unexpected purchases, or mounting debt. Pay attention to digital behavior too. Password protection isn't inherently suspicious. We all need security. But when your previously open partner suddenly locks you out of shared financial accounts or gets nervous when you pick up their phone, something might be up. The digital trail of financial secrets often appears in unexpected ways. Cleared browser histories after shopping sessions, password changes on banking apps, or quickly dismissing notifications when their phone buzzes with purchase confirmations. The way money is withdrawn can tell you a lot too. Unexplained cash withdrawals, especially patterns of small amounts that fly under the radar, might be a strategy to hide spending. When these withdrawals happen regularly, but there's no obvious explanation for where the money is going, it's worth having a conversation. But it's not just about the paper trail or digital footprints. Emotional responses can be just as revealing. When your typically calm partner suddenly becomes defensive or angry at the mere mention of finances, that emotional reaction could be covering something deeper. Watch for pattern interruptions. The partner who always loved discussing investment strategies, now changing the subject when money comes up, or the typically frugal spouse who becomes strangely evasive about recent purchases. These emotional indicators often manifest as overreactions to simple financial questions. "Hey, did you see this charge on our card?" becomes a lightning rod for defensiveness rather than a simple clarification. The statistics might shock you. 29% of couples reported having savings accounts their partners knew nothing about. Even more concerning, 23% admitted to carrying debt their partners were completely unaware of. These aren't just numbers, they represent real relationships where financial transparency has broken down. Take the case of Michael and Sarah, a couple who seemed financially stable on the surface. Sarah noticed Michael would get irritated whenever she asked about checking their joint accounts. He'd changed the passwords for security reasons and insisted on handling the bills himself. Small warning signs, right? Sarah dismissed these behaviors, believing Michael was just being protective and organized. 3 years later, the truth emerged when they applied for a mortgage. Michael had accumulated over $50,000 in credit card debt, buying electronic equipment and hiding it in a storage unit. The warning signs had been there all along, but without the framework to recognize them, Sarah had rationalized each red flag away. This raises an important distinction: the line between privacy and secrecy. In healthy relationships, privacy means having personal space and autonomy. Maybe having your own spending account that your partner knows about, even if they don't monitor every transaction. Secrecy, on the other hand, involves intentionally hiding information that would affect both partners. Financial therapists emphasize this distinction. Privacy becomes problematic secrecy when it involves hiding debts, significant purchases, or financial decisions that impact the partnership. The key question is, would your partner be upset or feel betrayed if they discovered this information? If the answer is yes, you've likely crossed from privacy into secrecy. The most dangerous aspect of these warning signs is how easily we dismiss them. Human beings are masters of rationalization. We create plausible explanations for concerning behaviors because confronting the possibility of betrayal is painful. She's just busy and forgot to mention that purchase. Or he's stressed about work, not about hiding money, become the stories we tell ourselves to avoid difficult conversations. This tendency to normalize warning signs explains why so many couples don't discover financial infidelity until the damage has become severe. Small secrets compound over time, growing from minor omissions into relationship-threatening deceptions. So what can you do if you notice these red flags? The first step isn't accusation, it's curiosity. Creating space for honest conversation without judgment often reveals the truth more effectively than confrontation. A simple, "I've noticed you seem uncomfortable when I bring up our finances lately. Can we talk about what's going on?" opens the door without immediately putting your partner on the defensive. Remember that these warning signs don't always indicate malicious intent. Sometimes they point to deeper issues like shame, anxiety about money, or misaligned financial values that your partner doesn't know how to address. The goal isn't to catch your partner in a lie, it's to restore transparency and trust in your financial relationship. Regular financial check-ins can prevent small secrets from becoming relationship-destroying bombs. Making financial discussions a normal, judgment-free part of your routine removes the taboo that often surrounds money conversations. When talking about money becomes as normal as discussing weekend plans, the psychological barriers to honesty start to dissolve. But what if you're the one hiding financial information? Recognizing your own warning behaviors, becoming defensive, hiding transactions, or compartmentalizing your finances is the first step toward rebuilding financial honesty. The shame that drives financial secrecy only grows in the dark. Bringing these issues...
Money scripts. How your past shapes financial behavior. Behind every financial secret lies a story that started long before your relationship began. Have you ever wondered why some people check their bank balance daily, while others avoid opening bills for weeks? These aren't just random habits. They're running on childhood programming. The way your parents handled money created a psychological blueprint that's silently influencing every financial decision you make today, and possibly creating tension with your partner without either of you understanding why. When we talk about financial behaviors, we're really talking about something psychologists call money scripts, unconscious beliefs about money that form during childhood and operate beneath our awareness. These aren't just minor influences. They're the invisible operating system powering your financial decisions, reactions, and especially your conflicts as a couple. Think about it. Did your parents fight about money in front of you? Did they never discuss finances at all? Was money treated as something scarce and anxiety-producing, or was it simply not a concern? These experiences weren't just passing moments. They were programming sessions installing your financial beliefs. Research shows there are 4 primary money scripts that shape our behavior. First, there's money avoidance, where people believe money is bad or they don't deserve it. If you grew up hearing money is the root of all evil, or watching your parents stress over bills, you might subconsciously push money away or sabotage your own financial success. This can look like ignoring financial statements, forgetting to pay bills, or even giving away money when you should be saving it. The second script is money worship, the belief that more money will solve all problems. If your parents constantly said things like, "If only we had more money," you might develop an insatiable drive for more income while never feeling satisfied with what you have. This script often leads to working excessive hours, prioritizing income over relationships, or developing shopping addictions to fill emotional voids. Money status is the third script, where your self-worth becomes tied to your net worth. If your childhood included comparing your family's possessions to the neighbors, you might now feel compelled to buy status symbols or hide financial struggles to maintain appearances. This script creates pressure to keep up financially, even at the cost of genuine financial health. The fourth script, money vigilance, involves extreme caution with money. Those raised by Depression-era parents or in financially insecure households often develop hypervigilance around spending. While some caution is healthy, this script can manifest as excessive frugality, anxiety around purchases, or an inability to enjoy wealth even when objectively secure. What makes these scripts particularly challenging in relationships is that they operate like invisible software. Neither you nor your partner can see why you react so strongly to financial situations. You just feel the emotions and act on them. When one partner grew up with money vigilance while the other experienced money status programming, everyday decisions like whether to eat out or buy new clothes become battlegrounds laden with emotional triggers neither person understands. Imagine Sarah, who grew up watching her mother hide new clothes from her father to avoid fights. As an adult, Sarah automatically hides purchases from her partner, not because there's anything wrong with her spending, but because she's running on her childhood script that spending leads to conflict. Her partner then discovers the hidden receipts and feels betrayed, not understanding the psychological roots of Sarah's behavior. Or consider Mark, whose family lost their home in a foreclosure when he was 12. Decades later, Mark obsessively checks their mortgage account and becomes irrationally anxious when his partner suggests any financial risk, even beneficial ones like investing in retirement accounts. His money vigilance script is protecting him from a childhood trauma, but his partner only sees controlling behavior. Financial trauma deserves special attention because it creates particularly powerful scripts. If you witnessed bankruptcy, foreclosure, or periods of severe poverty, your brain likely developed protective mechanisms around money. These aren't just preferences, they're survival responses. Your nervous system learned to associate financial uncertainty with danger, and now it triggers fight or flight responses during money discussions. The problem intensifies when cultural or generational differences enter the picture. If one partner comes from a culture where financial interdependence and family support are expected, while the other was raised with strong American individualism around money, their scripts will naturally conflict. One might view sending money to extended family as a moral obligation, while the other sees it as financial irresponsibility. Similarly, generational differences create script mismatches. Millennials who came of age during the 2008 financial crisis often carry different money scripts than baby boomers who experienced more economic stability. When these partners join finances, their different assumptions about debt, home ownership, and financial security create friction neither fully understands. These conflicting scripts explain why some couples can have the same income, same expenses, and completely different financial experiences. One partner feels constantly stressed while the other feels completely secure, not because the numbers are different, but because their internal money narratives diverge dramatically. The breakthrough comes when couples begin recognizing these scripts instead of just fighting about the surface behaviors. When Mark understands his obsessive account checking comes from childhood trauma, not just being responsible, he can communicate the fear behind his actions. When his partner sees the behavior as a response to past pain rather than a lack of trust, empathy replaces frustration. This is why financial conflicts in relationships rarely resolve through budget spreadsheets alone. You can create the perfect budget, but if you don't address the underlying money scripts driving behavior, compliance will be temporary at best. Your childhood programming will eventually override your rational agreements. The key is bringing these unconscious scripts into conscious awareness. Start by reflecting on your earliest money memories. What messages did you receive about money from your family? Were finances discussed openly or kept secret? Who managed money in your household, and how did they feel about it? These memories aren't just nostalgia. They're the foundation of your current financial behavior. Next, identify your emotional triggers around money. Do you feel inexplicable anxiety when checking your bank balance? Do you experience shame when making purchases? Does discussing money with your partner make you defensive or withdrawn? These strong emotional reactions often signal that a money script is operating. The most powerful step couples can take is sharing these money stories with each other. Instead of arguing about a recent purchase, try discussing what money meant in each of your families growing up. This shifts the conversation from judgment, "Why did you spend that?" to understanding, "I see now why spending makes you feel that way." The emotional fallout of financial betrayal. Sharing your financial past creates bridges, but financial betrayal builds walls that seem impossible to scale. When you discover your partner has been hiding significant debt or secret accounts, your brain doesn't just process numbers. It registers a fundamental relationship threat that can unleash psychological damage rivaling that of romantic infidelity. The moment you find that hidden credit card statement or discover a secret account isn't just about the money. It's about what that deception does to your sense of reality. Your brain actually enters a trauma response that closely mirrors what happens when you discover a physical affair. The shock hits your system like an emotional earthquake, rattling the very foundation of what you thought was true. Think about it. When someone you trust completely hides something this significant, your brain doesn't distinguish between types of betrayal. The neurological response is remarkably similar, whether it's financial or romantic infidelity. Your amygdala, the brain's alarm system, goes into overdrive, triggering a cascade of stress hormones that put you into fight, flight, or freeze mode. What makes financial betrayal particularly devastating is that it strikes at multiple core needs simultaneously. It's not just about the money, it's about the violation of trust, partnership, and security all at once. For many couples, financial stability represents safety and future security. When that's threatened by deception, it creates a profound sense of vulnerability that can be absolutely paralyzing. The emotional journey after discovering financial infidelity follows predictable stages that mental health professionals recognize as trauma responses. First comes the shock, that moment of disbelief when your brain struggles to integrate this new, threatening information into your understanding of your relationship. This initial phase can actually include physical symptoms like nausea, dizziness, or insomnia as your body processes the emotional blow. After shock comes anger, often intense and sometimes surprising in its ferocity. This anger serves a protective function, creating emotional distance from the pain. Next comes grief, as you mourn the relationship you thought you had. Many people experience intrusive thoughts, replaying moments when they might have noticed signs or questioning other aspects of the relationship that might also be built on deception. Perhaps most concerning, some individuals develop PTSD-like symptoms following financial betrayal. They experience flashbacks to the moment of discovery, have trouble concentrating, and develop hypervigilance around money matters. This isn't an overreaction. It's your brain's way of trying to protect you from experiencing this pain again. Consider what happened with Maria and James, a couple profiled by the Financial Health Institute. After 5 years of marriage, Maria discovered James had accumulated over $40,000 in gambling debt that he'd hidden completely. What followed wasn't just arguments about money. Maria developed clinical depression and debilitating anxiety that required professional treatment. She described feeling like the ground beneath me disappeared and reported being unable to trust her own judgment about anything in their relationship. The damage extends far beyond the immediate discovery. Financial betrayal creates a pattern of hypervigilance in the betrayed partner that corrodes the relationship's foundation. The person who discovered the deception often begins monitoring accounts obsessively, questioning every transaction, and requiring receipts for even small purchases. While these behaviors are understandable trauma responses, they create a cycle of control and resentment that pushes couples further apart. This hypervigilance isn't a character flaw, it's a protective mechanism. When your sense of security has been fundamentally threatened, your brain constantly scans for potential dangers. You might find yourself checking credit card statements daily, creating password alerts, or even struggling to focus at work because you're preoccupied with financial worries. This constant state of alertness is exhausting, consuming mental energy that could otherwise go toward healing. One of the most insidious effects is what experts call financial gaslighting, where the betrayed partner begins questioning their own perceptions and judgment. You might start second-guessing your memories, wondering if your partner actually mentioned that account and you simply forgot. You may downplay your own feelings, telling yourself you're overreacting. Some betraying partners actively contribute to this by saying things like, "I told you about this," or "You're making this into a bigger deal than it is." This erosion of trust in yourself is particularly damaging because it extends beyond financial matters. Once you realize you missed or ignored red flags in one area, you may question your judgment in all areas of life. The American Psychological Association has documented how this type of betrayal can lead to long-term self-doubt that affects decision-making across all life domains. The stress doesn't just stay in your relationship, it seeps into your health. Financial stress has been linked to chronic health issues including anxiety, depression, high blood pressure, and compromised immune function. When that financial stress is coupled with betrayal, the physical effects can be even more pronounced. Many people report symptoms like chest pain, headaches, weight changes, and exhaustion in the aftermath of discovering financial infidelity. What makes recovery particularly challenging is that unlike other relationship problems, financial infidelity often requires continued engagement with the very issue that caused the pain. If your partner accumulated secret debt, that debt still needs to be addressed. You can't simply avoid the topic of money while you heal emotionally. The practical aspects demand attention even as you're processing the betrayal. The cyclical nature of financial betrayal trauma is particularly problematic. Financial stress creates emotional distress, which often leads to poor financial decisions, creating more financial stress. Breaking this cycle requires addressing both the practical money issues and the emotional fallout simultaneously, a delicate balancing act that many couples struggle to manage without professional help. When trust is broken at this fundamental level, even small money matters become charged with emotional significance. A simple forgotten receipt can trigger the same fear and panic as the original discovery. A minor purchase can spark major arguments not because of the amount spent, but because it reactivates the trauma of the original betrayal. The betrayed partner often experiences conflicting emotions that are difficult to reconcile. They may still love their partner deeply, while simultaneously feeling intense anger and fear. This emotional whiplash creates internal tension that can manifest in confusing ways, like suddenly crying during what seemed like a routine conversation about household expenses. Perhaps most painfully, financial betrayal forces a reevaluation of shared history. Betrayed partners often look back at significant moments, buying a home, planning vacations, making career decisions, and wonder if they were making these choices based on incomplete or false information. This retroactive questioning of your life's narrative is disorienting and deeply painful. What psychological damage happens when financial trust is broken? The answer extends far beyond temporary anger or disappointment. Financial betrayal creates lasting trauma responses that affect your sense of security, your trust in yourself and others, your physical health, and your ability to make decisions with confidence. It transforms money from a neutral tool into an emotional trigger loaded with fear and doubt. Can your relationship survive financial betrayal? The trauma of financial betrayal might feel like a relationship death sentence. But is it really? While many couples assume their bond can't survive such a profound breach of trust, recent research tells a different story. Some relationships don't just survive financial infidelity, they emerge stronger than before. The crucial difference between recovery and ruin comes down to specific factors that relationship researchers have only recently identified. When Sarah discovered her husband Tom had secretly accumulated $18,000 in credit card debt, financing his motorcycle restoration hobby, she was devastated. "I felt like our entire marriage was built on quicksand," she recalls. Yet 3 years later, they credit this crisis with transforming their relationship. "We communicate better about everything now, not just money," Sarah explains. "The betrayal forced us to rebuild our foundation completely." Their story isn't an anomaly. While financial infidelity creates genuine trauma, it doesn't automatically spell doom for your relationship. The path forward depends largely on how both partners respond in the aftermath of discovery. The severity of the betrayal plays a significant role in recovery odds. A one-time hidden purchase of a few $100s presents a different challenge than years of systematic deception involving tens of thousands. But surprisingly, the dollar amount isn't always the determining factor. Sometimes smaller financial lies maintained over longer periods create deeper trust issues than single large deceptions. Even more important is whether the financial infidelity represents an isolated incident or a pattern of behavior. When financial secrecy becomes a habitual coping mechanism, it signals deeper problems that make recovery more challenging. Partners who demonstrate a history of repeated money secrets after promising transparency face much steeper odds of rebuilding trust. Perhaps the most crucial recovery factor is both partners' genuine willingness to change. Recovery requires commitment not just from the person who hid financial information, but also from the betrayed partner. This mutual dedication to rebuilding becomes the foundation for moving forward. Emma and Luis demonstrate this dynamic. After Emma discovered Luis had been hiding a gambling problem that drained their savings account, they faced a crossroads. I was ready to walk away, Emma admits. But I saw how committed Luis was to getting help, how he immediately enrolled in a recovery program and opened up all our accounts for me to monitor. His actions, not just his words, showed me he was serious about change. For couples navigating the aftermath of financial betrayal, understanding the typical relationship recovery stages can provide a roadmap through the chaos. The journey typically begins with crisis, the emotional earthquake triggered by discovery. During this phase, emotions run high, and many couples make hasty decisions they later regret. The next stage involves commitment, where both partners decide whether they want to work toward recovery. This isn't about making empty promises, but making a conscious choice to engage in the difficult work ahead. Without this deliberate commitment from both individuals, the recovery process stalls before it truly begins. The transparency stage follows, requiring complete financial disclosure from the partner who breached trust. This means revealing all accounts, debts, spending habits, and financial decisions that were previously hidden. Many couples benefit from creating a financial disclosure statement that documents their complete financial picture. Finally comes the rebuilding phase, where couples establish new patterns of financial communication and accountability. This phase isn't about punishment or permanent monitoring, but creating sustainable systems that work for both partners. Successful couples develop regular check-ins, shared financial goals, and gradually restore decision-making authority to the partner who breached trust as they demonstrate consistency. This recovery journey rarely unfolds smoothly. Most couples experience setbacks and emotional fluctuations throughout the process. What begins as cautious optimism can quickly revert to suspicion when triggered by seemingly innocent financial discussions. Recovery requires patience and persistence through these natural ebbs and flows. Professional guidance significantly improves recovery odds. Couples working with financial therapists or counselors have substantially higher success rates than those attempting to navigate these complex waters alone. These professionals provide structure for difficult conversations and help couples identify unhealthy patterns they might miss on their own. Financial therapist Megan Ford explains, most couples lack the tools to effectively process both the emotional and financial aspects of money betrayal. A trained professional creates a safe container for healing these dual wounds. Financial therapy addresses both the dollars and cents aspects and the relationship dynamics that contributed to the problem. Interestingly, some couples report their relationship quality actually improved after working through financial infidelity. The crisis forced them to develop communication skills, emotional intelligence, and financial transparency they previously lacked. As counterintuitive as it seems, financial betrayal sometimes becomes the catalyst for positive transformation. Jason and Miguel experienced this unexpected outcome. After Miguel discovered Jason had hidden $12,000 in credit card debt, they initially separated. I was sure we were done, Miguel remembers. But through counseling, we uncovered how Jason's childhood poverty created deep shame around money struggles. For the first time, we actually talked about our money fears instead of just our money plans. 3 years later, they've not only eliminated the debt, but developed a stronger partnership. We're more honest about everything now, Jason explains. The financial secrets were just symptoms of deeper communication, issues we would have never addressed otherwise. This pattern of post-crisis growth isn't universal, but it appears frequently enough in research to suggest that financial betrayal, while painful, creates potential for relationship evolution. The key lies in how couples process the experience together. Recovery requires establishing new financial boundaries and communication practices. Successful couples develop regular money dates to discuss financial matters in a structured, non-accusatory environment. They create systems providing appropriate transparency while respecting individual autonomy. Most importantly, they recognize that rebuilding trust happens gradually through consistent behavior over time, not through dramatic promises or temporary hypervigilance. The fear that led to financial secrecy must also be addressed. Partners who hid financial information often did so to avoid conflict, judgment, or control. Unless these underlying fears are resolved, the temptation to revert to secrecy remains. Similarly, betrayed partners must work through their impulses toward excessive monitoring or punishment that can prevent healing. So can your relationship survive the earthquake of financial betrayal? Research suggests yes, but survival depends on specific conditions and dedicated effort from both partners. Recovery isn't guaranteed, but it's certainly possible with the right approach. The journey requires both partners to develop greater self-awareness, communication skills, rebuilding and financial transparency to financial most couples ever achieve. While financial transparency matters for rebuilding trust, did you know that most couples who successfully recover from financial infidelity don't start with spreadsheets or budgets? Instead, they begin with something far more uncomfortable, yet infinitely more effective: a vulnerability that creates the foundation for everything that follows. When facing the aftermath of financial betrayal, most couples make the same critical mistake. They jump straight into monitoring behaviors, setting up alerts, demanding passwords, and creating strict budgets. But financial experts consistently find this approach often backfires. Why? Because it addresses symptoms rather than the root cause. The biggest mistake I see couples make is focusing exclusively on the financial mechanics while ignoring the emotional damage, says Dr. Amanda Reynolds, financial therapist and relationship counselor. They implement spending limits and monitoring systems without doing the deeper emotional work that actually rebuilds trust. The path to reconciliation begins not with stricter controls, but with something that might feel counterintuitive: complete financial vulnerability. Creating a financial disclosure statement becomes the crucial first step, a comprehensive document that lays bare all assets, debts, income sources, and financial obligations. This isn't just about listing numbers. It's about creating a shared reality where both partners can finally see the complete financial picture. This disclosure process is uncomfortable but necessary. It requires the partner who broke trust to voluntarily expose every financial detail, the good, bad, and ugly. No more hidden accounts, secret debts, or undisclosed spending habits. Without this foundation of complete transparency, any attempts at rebuilding trust will be built on shifting sand. But here's where most conventional advice falls short. The disclosure statement isn't just for the betrayed partner's peace of mind. When done correctly, it becomes a healing document for both people. It transforms vague suspicions and anxieties into concrete facts that can actually be addressed together. Financial therapists emphasize that creating this document should be a guided process. Having a neutral third party, whether a financial therapist, counselor, or mediator, can make the difference between a productive revelation and a damaging confrontation. This professional can help maintain focus on facts rather than accusations and ensure both partners feel heard. Once the financial picture is clear, emotional processing becomes essential. This step is frequently overlooked, but relationship experts insist it's where the real healing happens. The betrayed partner needs space to express their feelings, disappointment, anger, fear, without judgment or defensive responses. Similarly, the partner who broke trust needs to process their own shame, regret, and the underlying issues that drove their behavior. Addressing the underlying issues that led to financial secrecy is critical, notes Dr. Reynolds. Couples should explore their individual financial histories, beliefs, and attitudes towards money to understand how these factors influence their current financial behaviors. This emotional processing isn't a one-time conversation, but an ongoing dialogue. Financial therapists often recommend structured sessions where both partners can share feelings with ground rules that prevent conversations from spiraling into blame or shame cycles. The goal isn't to rehash the past endlessly, but to process emotions so they don't continue damaging the relationship. With disclosure and emotional processing underway, couples can begin establishing new financial systems, but with an important twist. Rather than implementing systems designed primarily for control, successful couples create structures focused on partnership and accountability. This distinction matters tremendously for long-term success. What does this partnership-focused approach look like in practice? Instead of one partner monitoring the other's every purchase, both partners commit to regular financial check-ins where they review their situation together. These scheduled discussions create space to review financial status, update goals, and adjust plans as needed. The atmosphere shifts from surveillance to teamwork. Regular financial check-ins are recommended to maintain transparency and foster a sense of joint responsibility, explains financial counselor Marcus Chun. These discussions shouldn't feel like interrogations, but rather collaborative planning sessions where both partners contribute and feel heard. Technology can support this new relationship with money, but the tools should enable partnership rather than policing. Shared budgeting apps where both partners can see all transactions, joint goal tracking tools, and automated savings systems that work toward mutual dreams help create a sense of financial teamwork. As trust begins to rebuild, successful couples start setting small, achievable financial goals together. These modest victories serve multiple purposes. They demonstrate commitment to change, create positive shared experiences around money, and gradually rebuild confidence in the relationship's financial future. These small wins might include saving for a weekend getaway, paying off a small debt together, or successfully sticking to a spending plan for a month. Each achievement becomes evidence that change is possible and that financial partnership can work. Over time, these small successes accumulate into significant relationship repair. Setting small, achievable financial goals together can help rebuild confidence and partnership, says relationship expert Dr. Sofia Martinez. This approach allows couples to celebrate successes and create a sense of teamwork in managing their finances. The road to financial reconciliation isn't linear or quick. Many couples report that rebuilding trust takes 18 to 24 months of consistent effort and transparency. During this time, setbacks are normal, old patterns may temporarily resurface, and emotional triggers around money might flare unexpectedly. The difference in successful reconciliations is how couples handle these inevitable bumps. Couples who successfully rebuild trust approach setbacks with curiosity rather than accusation. Instead of immediately assuming the worst intentions when financial issues arise, they ask open-ended questions and listen to understand the other's perspective. This curiosity-based approach creates a supportive environment where both partners can grow. Experts recommend that couples approach financial discussions with a mindset of curiosity rather than defensiveness, notes financial wellness coach Jasmine Williams. This involves asking open-ended questions and actively listening to each other's perspectives, which can foster a more supportive environment for discussing finances. This is where the idea of financial intimacy begins to emerge. The notion that money conversations can actually strengthen connection rather than create division. Financial intimacy isn't just about avoiding secrets. It's about creating a relationship where both partners feel safe discussing money vulnerabilities, dreams, and concerns without fear of judgment. Recovery from financial infidelity often requires professional support. Couples who work with financial therapists have significantly higher success rates than those trying to navigate these complex waters alone. These professionals help by providing structure, mediating difficult conversations, offering tools specialized for financial healing, and maintaining focus on progress when emotions run high. When selecting a professional, couples should look for someone with specific training in both financial issues and relationship dynamics. Financial therapists, certain marriage counselors with financial specialization, or a team approach with both a financial advisor and therapist can provide comprehensive support. The Curiosity Protocol, transforming financial conversations. Professional support matters, but did you know your brain actually processes financial disagreements differently when you ask questions instead of making accusations? This neurological insight has transformed how couples talk about money, even those who once thought their financial differences were irreconcilable. It's called the Curiosity Protocol, and it might just be the communication breakthrough your relationship needs. When most couples fight about money, they fall into predictable patterns. One partner questions a purchase, the other gets defensive, voices raise, and suddenly you're arguing about something that happened 3 years ago that has nothing to do with today's issue. Sound familiar? That's because traditional approaches to money conversations are practically designed to trigger conflict. The problem isn't necessarily what we're discussing, but how we're discussing it. When we approach financial conversations with judgment or accusation, we immediately activate our partner's defensive response. Their brain literally perceives the conversation as a threat, shutting down the very parts of the brain needed for rational discussion and problem solving. This is where the Curiosity Protocol changes everything. At its core, this approach is about replacing judgment with genuine inquiry. Instead of assuming the worst about your partner's financial decisions, you approach them with authentic curiosity about their perspective. The protocol has 3 fundamental principles that work together to transform money talks. First, ask genuine questions, not leading or accusatory ones, but questions that come from a place of wanting to understand. Second, practice active listening by focusing completely on your partner's response rather than formulating your rebuttal. Finally, suspend judgment by temporarily putting aside your own opinions to fully comprehend your partner's viewpoint. What makes this approach so powerful is how dramatically it changes the neurological experience of the conversation. When we're criticized about money, the brain's threat detection system goes into overdrive. But curiosity activates entirely different neural pathways, those associated with learning, connection, and problem solving. This simple shift from criticism to curiosity literally changes how our brain processes the interaction. Let me show you how this works with some specific examples. Instead of saying, "I can't believe you spent that much on a new phone when we're trying to save for vacation," the curiosity protocol would transform this into, "I noticed we got a new phone. What factors were most important to you when making that decision?" See the difference? The first statement immediately puts your partner on the defensive, while the second invites them to share their reasoning. Here's another example. Rather than demanding, "Why haven't you paid that bill yet? It's going to be late again." Try, "I'm wondering about the timeline for the electric bill. What's your thought process on when to pay it?" This phrasing acknowledges that your partner might actually have a reason for their approach, rather than assuming negligence or irresponsibility. The language we use matters tremendously. Questions that begin with what tend to be more effective than those starting with why, which often feel accusatory. "What led you to make that financial decision?" opens up conversation much more effectively than "Why would you do that?" even though they're asking for similar information. Let me walk you through a step-by-step framework for implementing the curiosity protocol in your next money conversation. Step 1. Set the stage by choosing a neutral time and place, not when you're already upset about a financial issue. Begin by expressing your desire to understand, rather than solve a problem. You might say, "I'd like to understand more about how we're approaching our holiday spending this year." Step 2. Ask open-ended questions that cannot be answered with just yes or no. For instance, what aspects of our budget feel most important to you right now? Or, how do you envision our financial priorities over the next few months? Step 3. Listen completely to your partner's response without interrupting or planning your rebuttal. This might be the hardest part. Make eye contact, nod, and give verbal acknowledgments that you're hearing them. Step 4. Reflect back what you heard before sharing your perspective. "So what I'm hearing is that you're concerned about having enough emergency savings before we invest more in retirement. Did I understand that correctly?" This step alone prevents countless misunderstandings. Step 5. Share your perspective using I statements rather than accusations. "I feel anxious when our credit card balance goes above $3,000 because it reminds me of the debt struggles I had in my 20s. Communicates your feelings without blaming your partner. Step 6. Look for areas of agreement first, then discuss differences with continued curiosity. "We both seem to value financial security. I'm curious about how we might balance that with your desire for more travel experiences this year." What makes this protocol so effective is that it creates psychological safety, an environment where both partners feel secure enough to be vulnerable about money. When we feel psychologically safe, we're much more willing to disclose our true financial circumstances, concerns, and goals without fear of judgment or criticism. Remember, financial conversations aren't just about numbers. They're about our values, fears, dreams, and identities. The curiosity protocol acknowledges this deeper reality by focusing first on understanding before problem solving. One couple I worked with, Marcos and Layla, had been fighting about money for years. Marcos saw saving as the ultimate priority, while Layla valued experiences and was comfortable spending on travel and dining out. Their conversations inevitably turned into arguments about who was right about money. When they began using the curiosity protocol, Marcos learned that Layla's emphasis on experiences stemmed from watching her parents defer enjoyment until retirement, only to have her father pass away before they could take any of their planned trips. Meanwhile, Layla discovered that Marcos's intense focus on saving came from the financial instability he experienced growing up. Neither approach was wrong. They were just coming from different lived experiences. By approaching each other with curiosity instead of criticism, they developed a financial plan that honored both their needs, creating dedicated funds for experiences while building the security Marcos needed. The key wasn't compromising their values, but truly understanding the valid reasons behind each other's financial perspectives. So what exactly is the curiosity protocol, and how can it save your relationship? It's a communication approach that replaces judgment with genuine questions, transforms how your brain processes financial discussions, and creates the psychological safety needed for honest financial intimacy. By activating curiosity instead of criticism, you can discuss even the most challenging money topics without triggering the defensiveness that derails productive conversation. Building financial intimacy, from secrecy to partnership. While the Curiosity Protocol creates a safe foundation for financial conversations, true financial intimacy takes couples far beyond just avoiding arguments. Financial intimacy isn't merely the absence of secrets. It's actively building something extraordinary together. It's the difference between a relationship where partners simply don't hide their spending and one where they're actively creating shared dreams for their future. So what exactly is financial intimacy? It's the experience of feeling safe, seen, heard, and cared about in the various elements of financial life. It's what happens when transparency meets vulnerability, creating a space where couples can make meaningful decisions together about both their money and their lives. Most couples stop at basic transparency, telling each other what they spent or sharing passwords to financial accounts. While that's certainly better than secrecy, it's like saying you've mastered swimming because you don't drown. Financial intimacy is about learning to thrive together in the deep end, not just surviving. The most financially successful couples don't just avoid money fights. They've discovered that finances can actually become an incredibly powerful tool for connection. These couples don't just tolerate money conversations. They actually look forward to them as opportunities to dream together and create their shared future. What's fascinating is how these couples approach money discussions differently. Instead of viewing financial conversations as necessary evils to track spending or assign blame, they see them as exciting opportunities to plan adventures, support each other's goals, and build their future. Couples with the highest levels of financial intimacy have developed regular money dates. But these look nothing like the stereotypical budget meetings most people dread. Picture this. A couple opens a bottle of wine, orders their favorite takeout, and spends the evening dreaming about their ideal retirement home in the mountains or planning how they'll fund their child's college education. These conversations feel more like date nights than financial planning sessions. Research shows that these regular, positive financial check-ins transform how couples view money altogether. Rather than seeing finances as a source of stress or conflict, they begin viewing money as a tool that helps them create their shared vision. This fundamental shift, from money as a problem to money as a pathway, is what distinguishes financially intimate couples. One powerful practice these couples use is called joint dream mapping. This exercise involves both partners visualizing and discussing their long-term goals together. Whether it's buying a vacation home, starting a business, or planning early retirement, joint dream mapping helps couples align their financial priorities and create a shared vision for their future. Here's what makes this practice so powerful. It shifts the conversation from day-to-day spending decisions to the deeper values and aspirations that drive those decisions. When a couple can articulate why they're saving and what they're building toward, everyday financial choices become expressions of love rather than sources of conflict. Take Mia and James, for example. They used to argue constantly about James's expensive cycling equipment. Mia saw these purchases as frivolous, while James felt his hobby was being attacked. Through joint dream mapping, they discovered that Mia deeply valued travel experiences, while James prioritized physical health. Instead of fighting about individual purchases, they created a shared vision that honored both values. Planning cycling vacations in beautiful destinations that satisfied both their dreams. Financial intimacy also means creating systems that balance individual autonomy with partnership goals. The most successful couples don't micromanage each other's spending or require approval for every purchase. Instead, they establish clear boundaries and trust zones. Many financially intimate couples use a yours, mine, and ours approach to banking. They maintain joint accounts for shared expenses and goals while keeping individual accounts for personal spending. This system respects each partner's need for some financial independence while ensuring their major financial goals remain collaborative efforts. The key insight here is that balancing autonomy with partnership prevents the resentment that often poisons financial relationships. When partners feel trapped or controlled, they're more likely to hide purchases or keep financial secrets. By creating structured freedom within their financial system, couples build trust rather than undermining it. Financial intimacy also involves understanding each partner's emotional relationship with money. Our feelings about finances rarely develop in a vacuum. They're shaped by childhood experiences, cultural backgrounds, and past financial traumas. Couples with deep financial intimacy don't just know each other's credit scores, they understand each other's money stories. Sarah and Michael demonstrated this beautifully. Sarah grew up in a household where money was never discussed, creating anxiety around financial conversations. Michael's parents fought constantly about money, leaving him with a deep fear of financial conflict. By sharing these emotional money histories, they developed compassion for each other's financial triggers rather than judgment. This emotional understanding creates a foundation for vulnerability that goes beyond just numbers. When partners can share their financial fears, hopes, and even mistakes without fear of judgment, they create unprecedented levels of intimacy. Many couples report that this financial vulnerability actually strengthens other aspects of their relationship, improving communication about everything from parenting to intimacy. Building this level of financial intimacy doesn't happen overnight. The most successful couples engage in incremental trust-building exercises that gradually deepen their financial connection. They might start with small shared financial goals, saving for a weekend getaway or a new piece of furniture, before tackling larger objectives like retirement planning. These incremental steps build confidence in the partnership while creating positive associations with money conversations. By celebrating small financial wins together, paying off a credit card, or reaching a savings milestone, couples create a positive feedback loop that reinforces their financial teamwork. What's particularly powerful about this approach is that it transforms how couples view financial challenges. Rather than seeing money problems as threats to their relationship, financially intimate couples view challenges as opportunities to strengthen their partnership. When unexpected expenses arise or income changes occur, these couples don't blame each other. They activate their problem-solving skills together. Financial intimacy also means practicing what experts call financial fidelity, being honest and transparent about financial behaviors. This goes beyond just avoiding secrets. It means proactively sharing information and including your partner in decisions. Couples who practice financial fidelity consistently report higher relationship satisfaction and fewer money-related conflicts. But perhaps the most transformative aspect of financial intimacy is how it changes the nature of support within the relationship. When partners truly understand each other's financial hopes and fears, they can provide meaningful encouragement during challenges and authentic celebration during victories. Consider how differently couples with high financial intimacy navigate major life transitions compared to those without it. When facing job loss, career changes, or other financial shifts, these couples draw on their deep understanding of each other's values to make decisions that honor both partners. Rather than defaulting to fear or control, they tap into their shared vision financial to navigate uncertainty together. Financial intimacy sounds amazing in theory, but the gap between your current money situation and that dream partnership might feel impossibly wide. Here's the truth most financial experts won't tell you. Transforming your financial relationship doesn't require months of therapy or complicated systems. It starts with just one carefully crafted question that cuts through years of misunderstanding. Now that you understand the importance of financial intimacy and the curiosity protocol, it's time to put everything into action. Today, I'm giving you a concrete roadmap that you can start implementing tonight. Yes, literally tonight, to transform your financial relationship. Let's be real for a second. Taking that first step toward financial openness with your partner can feel like jumping off a cliff. The fear of judgment, potential conflict, or even discovering uncomfortable truths might have you procrastinating indefinitely. But that's exactly why having a structured plan is so crucial. It breaks down this intimidating process into manageable steps that anyone can follow. Your journey to financial intimacy begins with a three-part framework: assessment, communication, and system building. This approach ensures you're not just having scattered conversations about money, but creating lasting change in how you and your partner relate financially. Start with an honest assessment of where your relationship currently stands. Before diving into solutions, you need clarity on your starting point. Experts recommend starting financial discussions early in a relationship, ideally before making significant commitments, to foster transparency and understanding. But regardless of where you are now, it's never too late to begin. Tonight, sit down with your partner and take the financial intimacy assessment, a simple tool I've developed based on research from financial therapists. This assessment asks each of you to rate, on a scale of 1 to 10, your comfort level with different aspects of financial partnership. How comfortable do you feel discussing money mistakes with your partner? How aligned are you on long-term financial goals? How satisfied are you with your current division of financial responsibilities? How confident are you that you know your complete financial picture as a couple? How safe do you feel bringing up financial concerns or questions? The assessment isn't about pointing fingers or assigning blame. It's about identifying your relationship's financial strengths and growth opportunities. When you compare your answers, you'll immediately see where your perspectives align and where they differ, giving you clear starting points for your conversations. Once you've completed your assessment, it's time to implement the communication piece of the framework. Create a safe space for your first real financial conversation by setting some ground rules. Financial discussions should be held in a non-judgmental environment where both partners feel comfortable sharing their situations. Choose a neutral time when neither of you is stressed or tired, turn off distractions, and commit to using the curiosity protocol we discussed earlier. Here are 3 powerful conversation starters that apply the curiosity protocol to kickstart your financial dialogue tonight. I'm curious about what financial security really means to you. What would need to be true about our money situation for you to feel completely secure? When you think about our ideal financial future, what 3 things are most important to you, and why do those specific things matter? I'd love to understand more about how your family approached money when you were growing up. What lessons or memories stand out that might be shaping how you think about money today? Notice how these questions invite exploration rather than demanding answers. They create space for your partner to share their authentic thoughts without feeling defensive or judged. The third piece of the framework, system building, transforms these initial conversations into sustainable practices. This is where a 30-day plan comes in, helping you build habits that reinforce financial intimacy over time. Your 30-day financial intimacy plan consists of small, incremental steps that progressively deepen your financial connection. Research shows that couples who follow a structured 30-day financial communication plan are 3 times more likely to resolve their money conflicts. Here's what your first week might look like. Day 1. Complete the financial intimacy assessment and have your first conversation using one of the starter questions. Day 2. Together, gather all financial documents and create a shared spreadsheet or folder where you can both access this information. Day 3. Schedule your first official money date for the upcoming weekend. This isn't a budget meeting. It's a relationship-building experience centered around money. Day 4. Each partner writes down 3 financial goals they have for the next year without consulting each other. Day 5. Exchange your goals and practice the curiosity protocol by asking genuine questions about each other's aspirations. Day 6. Hold your first money date. Make it special. Maybe open a bottle of wine or order takeout. Start by sharing 1 money fear and 1 money dream each. Day 7. Reflect together on what you've learned about each other over the past week and choose 1 small financial goal you can work toward together. The next 3 weeks of your plan would continue with activities like creating a combined net worth statement, establishing a joint budget using the 50/30/20 rule, 50% for needs, 30% for wants, and 20% for savings/debt repayment, and setting up regular financial check-ins that work with your schedules. A crucial component of your system should be accountability measures that respect both partners' autonomy while maintaining transparency. Using budgeting apps like Mint or Anab, You Need a Budget can help track income, expenses, and savings, providing a clear overview of your financial situation without either partner feeling policed. Consider implementing what I call the autonomy with awareness principle. This means establishing shared financial goals while allowing each partner some independent spending flexibility. For example, you might agree that purchases over a certain amount require a conversation, while smaller expenses remain at each individual's discretion. Another effective accountability system involves setting mutual spending limits and regularly reviewing financial goals together, which helps maintain transparency and reduces the likelihood of financial infidelity. These reviews shouldn't feel like interrogations. Frame them as opportunities to celebrate progress and problem solve together. Remember that establishing shared financial goals, such as saving for a home or planning for retirement, can foster unity and cooperation, enhancing your financial relationship. Make these goals visible in your home. perhaps with a visual tracker on the refrigerator or a dedicated savings account you both monitor. If you find yourselves struggling to make progress on your own, don't hesitate to seek professional guidance. Financial therapy can help couples navigate money-related conflicts and improve communication about finances, ultimately leading to healthier financial behaviors. Look for a professional who understands both the emotional and practical aspects of money management. The most important action you can take this week is simply starting the conversation. Tonight, sit down with your partner and say, "I've been thinking about how we talk about money, and I'd like us to try something new. Would you be open to taking a short assessment with me to see how we might improve our financial relationship?" This non-threatening invitation opens the door to transformation without triggering defensiveness. The Couple's Guide to Financial Intimacy offers a structured program to help couples communicate about money, heal financial wounds, and build a shared financial future. Whether you follow that specific program or create your own approach using the framework I've outlined, the key is consistent, intentional effort toward greater financial partnership. We've covered a lot of ground on financial infidelity, but here's what might surprise you most. Open communication about money actually strengthens relationships. Research shows that 78% of couples who regularly discuss their finances report that these conversations actually improve their relationship. When partners create a judgment-free zone to talk about money, they're building more than just financial security. They're cultivating deeper trust and intimacy. Financial vulnerability isn't a weakness. It's the foundation of a thriving partnership. Those regular money conversations create a shared language around your goals and values. Instead of letting financial stress divide you, use it as an opportunity to grow closer. Start with just one curious question tonight. What's one thing about money that worries you that we haven't talked about? That single question might open the door to the most meaningful conversation you've had in years. Remember, it's not about perfect financial decisions.